So what happens when you're not feeling it? I mean, when you are excited about music, there is never a minute to spare. Every waking thought is a fantastic, fascinating idea, a musical landscape to be explored. What if, like me, you get COVID, or sick, or tired, or sick and tired? What if you just don't feel like doing music, or even thinking about music, or thinking about any creative thing? What if the mounting negatives of rejections from libraries, from publishers, or just generally not getting the results you want from your music, in however you are trying to sell it? What if all of that outweighs the positives that music has always brought? That positive feeling of making music that started all this in the first place? What if family pressures or monetary pressures or any kind of pressure forces you to quit making music and put music out of the picture for a while? This can happen to you. It happened to me. So while I was sitting in it, while I was experiencing it with being low with COVID, not sick COVID, but the afterwards of COVID, where you're just fatigued and you're not feeling like doing anything, and I could barely even want to write this down, I decided I better write this down before I lost the desire to. Hey folks, if you are at the bottom of your barrel right now and you don't even know what to do with music or which way to maybe go next, I just want to let you know about our ebook, our free ebook, 50 Ways to Make Music Income. You can find it here at makemusicincome.com/50 ways or in the description of any of my videos if you're looking for something, anything that can help you pull yourself out of the doldrums, pull yourself out of this funk that you are in. Maybe this ebook will help. That's kind of why I made it. So a few weeks ago, I caught COVID, probably because I'm now teaching. I'm not just sitting in this room every day, all day long, working on music only. I am now teaching recording and music theory and all sorts of other stuff. But somehow I caught it, and I didn't know I caught it at first. I just thought I had the flu, and I took a sick day and then went back to work with a mask on and stuff. It wasn't until later in the weekend that I lost my taste and my smell. I had tested negative when I was sick, but eventually, a few days later, I tested positive, very positive, for COVID, and no taste, no smell, and no desire, really, to do anything. I didn't have a desire to write songs. I didn't have a desire to teach. I didn't have a desire to think about anything. And that's what I was talking about in that opening segment, where you just don't feel like doing anything musical, or you just can't for whatever reason. So I wanted to tell my story about COVID and getting it and how I felt during that time, and then how I kind of climbed out of it. Now, a lot of it is just the fact that I was vaccinated, I was boosted, I had had a pneumonia vaccine a month before in my physical, so I probably was pretty set up to get it and get over it quickly, which I did. But let me tell you, when I was down, I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to teach. I didn't want to do any kind of music. I didn't want to think creative thoughts. I didn't want to write YouTube scripts. I didn't want to do anything. I wondered what I was going to do with the rest of my life because I just didn't care about doing anything. And I know you have probably felt that at one time or another. Maybe you're feeling it now. But I want to just bring up a few ideas that, as I started to come out of my COVID haze, things that started to help me, and maybe they will help you. The first thing I want to talk about is just do something else creative, something other than music. Maybe you just get away from making music for a while and get back to one of those other hobbies you do. I'm also kind of a fiction writer, and I like to write fiction and nonfiction. and I've had some things published, and sometimes that is just a nice outlet for me creatively. And it's not music, it's a whole different hat to wear. I can do it almost anywhere, and I can just jump into some different worlds and just forget about music for a while, and sometimes that is helpful. And so that's the first thing that I would suggest to you. If you are someone who does music all the time, you have been cranking on music maybe for years, and you have hit a wall. You have hit a place where you're just feeling that it's not happening in the way that you want it to happen. And so if that's the case, I highly suggest pick another one of your creative ventures, another one of your creative things you like to do, and do that for a while, and basically just completely get away from music for a bit. Recharge your engines a little bit. So that's thing one. Thing two is do something else non-creative, like mow the yard, or work on something around the house that needs to be fixed, or go to a movie, or go shopping, or go to a park or something, go hiking. Do something that is not necessarily you making some kind of music thing. Perhaps it's just something different. It's something that doesn't require you to be creative at all. It just takes up your time. It occupies your thoughts. Maybe if it's in nature, it gets you back into shape a little bit, get some good air, and you're not, again, slaving over a hot DAW trying to come up with the right formula to get a song in Motion Array because you've been rejected or because you can't get in or whatever. So that's something that I highly suggest when you're not feeling like creating music. Number three, binge Netflix or Disney Plus or your Blu-ray collection or Prime or whatever shows or things you've been wanting to catch up on, wanting to start that season of Lost, that first season, and just watch the whole thing. Maybe now is the time. Maybe now is the time to really just get lost in some TV watching. I usually give the exact opposite advice. You need to quit watching so much TV and get to work on your music. But sometimes, in times like these, where you don't feel good, you don't have the energy, you are just feeling like that music has it's just been too much and it's not happening. Take a break. Watch some Netflix, watch some Hulu, watch something, and enjoy some content that's already made. To me, that helps a lot sometimes. The other thing I will say is maybe you just need to quit music for a while. Now, this does not mean you need to quit doing music because you're not good enough. And in a recent interview I had with Jesse, he gave one of the things about that he said about sync licensing. If you're not having success in sync licensing, one of the things you may consider is quitting sync licensing. And now he didn't mean quit music, and I don't mean quit music forever either. But maybe you just leave it lie for a little bit. Maybe just let music kind of sit for a while and come back to it. I often do that on a weekly basis. I will just go away from music that I've been making because I'm not hearing it right, and I need to come back and listen another time. I need to just take a nice sip of a warm beverage and just relax. Another thing you could do is work on that book. If you are any kind of creative, you've probably thought about writing a book about what you do, about who you are, about your story, and that could be something that you could be working on. Or maybe it's a book or an e-book or a course or something that you've been thinking about making and selling. And that, again, is another creative venture that you could take into to maybe just get away from music for a while and just not be creative with music. But still, it could be part of your music sphere, your creative sphere of things. So I do this all the time with scripts for my YouTube channel. I do this with ebooks that I write and courses that I'm developing and things like that. And it sometimes helps to get away from music for a bit. And it's another creative venture that you can do. And then let me take a whole nother tack for this final little hint here. And that is, what if you went to another level with your music? In other words, don't just continue to do music like you've always done it, just cranking it out on your keyboards or your guitars, and you have a DAW, you have a setup, you've had a modicum of success putting it out, or maybe no success putting it out. Maybe it's time to collab and to work with someone else on making better music. I am actually going to be doing this. This is part of my post-COVID, post-music depression jaunt that I am doing here, where I am deciding now to do a little bit more work back the way I used to do it, which was making music and then bringing in people to work with me in Nashville or wherever creative people are that I need to be part of things. For a while during my composition degree, that was players, classical players, and different instructors and different people to play on those songs, because I was creating classical pieces that required ensemble pieces, but they were still sometimes local pros that were coming into the studio to record on my pieces. But in my Nashville time, and for most of my clients that I still work with, I am recording with Nashville professionals, both on the musician side and the engineer side. So that's something I'm going to be doing to kind of take all of my music up back to the level that I was really producing. I don't mind producing here at home and doing everything myself, but sometimes that starts to feel a little limiting and a little one-dimensional. And I think it can sometimes be even noticeable by music libraries or clients that we were trying to write for that it's one-dimensional. So don't be afraid to maybe step up to a whole new level of music quality by working with another producer or with a co-producer on things. Those are just a few things that I think that if you are feeling kind of down, kind of out, you wake up, the thrill is gone, and you need to do something else. Maybe you try these things and see if it helps. Here's another video that might help you if you're feeling kind of down about things. And again, check out our book, 50 Ways to Make Music Income. If you need some ideas to jumpstart, absolutely free. You can find it in the description below. And check out this video here. And as usual, thanks for watching.